Welcome to the Canadian Clay and Glass Gallery. I'm Christian Bernard Singer, curator of the gallery. We've been here now for 20 years, and in fact we're celebrating our birthday this year. And the building itself was built by Pat Cow Architects, who won the Governor General's Award for Architecture. Our current exhibition, War, Light Within After the Darkness, is about the Holocaust. We have 7 artists who've made contemporary art projects exploring various aspects of the Holocaust from a place of resistance and survival, hope and beauty. Sherry Cohen's installation, The Hanging Forest, speaks about the partisans who used to run into the forest, and they hid and they operated from the forest. And so you have this, well, we know about the resistance fighters that were in the forest, but what we don't know is that a lot of them were Jewish. So it sort of changes the general narrative of the Holocaust. Mary Mackenzie's installation, Departed, speaks about a lived space that has just been bombed. And you can see that portions of the space have been completely disrupted and damaged, and other portions of the space have not. And if you look carefully at the work, everything that is white is actually ceramics. And what's interesting about that is that it could be that those are the last items that the inhabitants have touched. Tina Poplawski's Dreaming Tree comes out of the stories of her family that were forced to the gulags. So her grandfather was executed by the NKVD, which is the precursor to the KGB. And so they murdered her grandfather and then sent all of his known relatives to the gulags. So that includes her mother and father, who at that time would have been just children, but I guess that's where they met. Oded and Pamela Ravek, a glass piece called The Miracle of the Three Sisters, is at once a memorial to the 6 million Jews that were murdered in the Holocaust, but is also a sort of a monument to his mother and her 2 sisters' survival of the camps of Auschwitz, of surviving Auschwitz. Laura Donifer's installation, Todesmarch, references the death marches that happened near the end of the war. The piece is like a path of these darkened footprints that look like it's the last trace of their existence on the planet. But the path leads to this central core that is so beautifully illuminated that it sort of reinforces the life force within. Claire Wiseman Wilkes' work was inspired by the journals of the writer Etty Hillesum, who was a young Dutch Jewish woman. The globe reminds one of perhaps a world, but it could also be a raft in the middle of the ocean onto which people are just clinging for dear life. But what's interesting in this piece is that they're clinging for dear life, but they're holding on to each other and they're supporting each other and they're helping to hold the other person. So it's not coming from a place of selfishness. It's a very powerful idea about love and caring. Hélène Brunet-Newman's Caucus Emergence is a work about a council that comes together to solve the world's problems. But what's interesting is that when you stand, you stand in the circle, and there's a sense of power within the circle, but it's very momentary, because if you look around, none of the figures are actually really looking into the center, or focused towards the center, or even focused on each other. So it's a really kind of odd place to be, because here they are, they're supposed to be solving this scenario, whatever it is, we don't know, but they are not communicating. In the 1930s, the Nazis opened the Degenerate Art Exhibition, and this exhibition toured over 3 years to museums throughout Germany. And their objective was to show any art that didn't fit within Nazi ideology. So I thought it'd be interesting to see what our permanent collection might be missing if the Nazis had won the war and we were under Nazi ideology. So I pulled all of the known Jewish and gay artists from the collection, and that's what you have here.